Okay, my friends, this is going to be really interesting. It's strictly research, and I never, ever, ever tell anybody, take this, don't take this, this will cure you, this will make you sick. No. I look at the details of what the discussion is. What are they saying about this, and what are they saying about that? Who's saying this, and who's saying that? Because there's going to always be more than one opinion on everything. I don't care what it is. And unless you have the absolute, total, undeniable evidence, it's just an opinion. Now, we're talking about this particular situation right now where Kennedy is supposedly going to be researching these stories and these opinions about vaccines. Now, I take every vaccine there is. I've never missed one. And they are good. However, there is a but, and I will tell you what the but is right now. Okay, my friends, we're going to be going over this in some detail, and once again, this is research only, but very few people understand the digestive system of a newborn and how it develops. They have no immunities and no digestive system when they're born. Virtually nothing. The only way they can get it is to inherit it from the stuff they pass through, because they're in a sterile environment in the womb. And as they come out through the vaginal canal and through the fecal matter and all that stuff should be all over them when they come out, so that they absorb some of that bacteria that creates the enzymes that creates the immune system. Let's go into this. Again, research only. This has nothing to do with telling you to do this or do that. But I want to talk to Robert Kennedy Jr. I want to be involved in this. I have every right to be involved in this as any one of those people that are making these determinations that affect your life. Listen to me. Don't take my opinion if you don't want. I don't care. But I want to be heard. Okay, this is the part that is not well understood. In a baby, when a baby's first born, unlike the adult body, the fetal digestive system does not have a digestive function. They can't digest anything. That's why they need the mother's milk. And it's ready to program from the local bacteria. Whatever is local bacteria in that area from that mother will be transferred into that baby as it passes through the vaginal canal, through the feces, through whatever tissues and fluids it has to pass through. It'll be slathered with those. The baby will actually have it in its eyeballs, in its ears, in its nose, in its mouth. And it will come out with some very tiny, small amount of immunities based on the interaction with these bacteria. It'll have some tiny amount of immunity right off the bat, but very, very small. And some won't have any immunities at all to certain things because the mother didn't have any immunities to it. If the mother doesn't have the bacteria in her, the baby will not have the bacteria in it. So that means this baby's born, some of them will be born with a lot of bacteria. They'll be fine. They'll never have any issues in their life. Well, you know what I mean. But some will already be missing all of the bacteria or a lot of the bacteria that they need because the mother is either they gave her a C-section and the baby didn't even get touched by any of that stuff, or she's deficient in these bacteria that should be in her body to protect her. There's a probacteria. They're bacteria that's there to do that job, and they are not in the baby. And this is the problem. They give them shots, and what are the shots? They're live bacteria. They're actual bacteria that can kill you if they were strong enough. Well, guess what? If a baby doesn't have any immune defense against that whatsoever, that live bacteria will eventually take over. That's the problem. They don't realize what we need to do is test the babies before they get these shots, and then test them afterwards and see what bacteria are being killed off in their bodies. And then either we can replenish them or somehow we have to replenish these bacterial populations that prevent you from being infected. And the problem is that they're, you know, I'm not saying it's a problem. Don't take me wrong at this whatsoever. Again, I don't give you any advice to do this or that. I am doing the research, and I say take a fecal sample test of what's the bacteria in the baby before and after these shots and things. Any medical intervention, I don't care what it is, at any age really, because when they do a medical intervention, it usually damages something in your body. Antibiotics kill the good biotics. They don't just kill the bad biotics, they kill the good ones. You've got to replace those. This is a big thing that's just not understood. And it's because nobody understood about this particular layer called the interstitium, is where these things live. It's our immune system. That's why I need to be involved in this. There's very few people have this information that I have. Very few. I discovered this. I wrote the book on this in 2015 about this particular layer, which is the immune system. It's a fluid-filled network. It surrounds everything in your body with these bacteria and enzymes that keep out invaders. As simple as that. Okay, I want to talk to Robert Kennedy, and here's why. From gut to the brain, how a common virus may trigger Alzheimer's disease. I've been talking about this for 10 years. I wrote the paper on this. I deserve to be part of this. Researchers have identified a link between chronic cytomegalovirus infections in the gut and Alzheimer's disease in certain individuals. Why certain individuals? Why not every individual? And guess what it does cause? Well, guess what causes it? Is this cytomegalovirus. Guess what? Everybody has that in them. This is not uncommon. Why does it only affect some people and not other people? I want to talk to Kennedy. I wrote the paper on this. Now, here's a paper I wrote back in 2015. Fascia facilitated fossilization. I looked into the fossils and I found this layer that nobody knew about, which was this fluid-filled highway. And here's the paper, here's the most important part. Fascia was thought to be mere packing material. They thought it was just fluffy stuff. It was virtually inert. It has long been ignored as a subject of research. Recently, however, there has been new equipment that allows viewing of fascia as it does its job. Once again, as in many experiments, there are totally unexpected results. Fascia is a tubular, fluid-filled fabric network. It's like fabric coats everything in your body with a membrane around it. That's what membranes are. Instantly reconfigures itself if damaged or pulled apart. Not if you have no immunities to this particular cytomegalovirus. If you don't have the bacteria in there to create the enzymes to combat this stuff, you're one of the ones that's going to get Alzheimer's. This is no question about it. And they know it comes along before you really get full Alzheimer's and dementia and all that stuff. They can tell something's wrong with you. Your gut is not responding correctly. So you're going to get, eventually going to get full-blown dementia. And this is not something that's unknown. They know this now. It's about the gut. It's been going on for a long time now. And Kennedy is the only one that has the guts to speak up about the guts. And I want to talk to him because I have so much information. We can clean this stuff up pretty damn quick, I got a feeling. But I need to talk to him. And I want to talk to him, and I deserve the right to talk to him. Thank you. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the hardest thing I think I've ever had to try to do. I've been working on this for hours trying to come up with a way to start this discussion. And all I can say is this particular layer of tissue in the human body has never been known. Nobody even knew it existed until 2018. And at that point, they realized this fluid-filled highway, which I called it a fluid-filled tubular network, which is all tiny little tubes, which are the lymph ducts, really. The major lymph ducts that run through the body carry all this lymph fluid. And this lymph fluid is what has your immunities built into it, which are enzymes and bacteria. Let me explain this, because this is not really understood by doctors. Very, very few of them even know about this layer. And the ones that do don't understand it. They know it's a new organ, but what does that mean? It's just a new organ in the body. Well, what does it do? It's a fluid-filled highway. What does it carry? It carries your immunities. Let me explain to you. And this is critically important that Kennedy looks into this, because it's been overlooked and it's denied to be looked at, because the medical professionals want to keep their status, saying that, no, we were right all the time. Nobody wants to be wrong. That's the problem. Nobody wants to research anything. Wrongness is not allowed anymore. Once you're on the top of the scale and you say, I'm not going to name any names, but they say, look, we know what we're doing because we've been studying this forever. Well, they didn't even know about this layer. I don't care how long you've been studying something. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. And that is what the story is right now. Let me explain to you my side of it, and then you can take it from the other side and do whatever you want. But my side has to be shown, because my side has not been known until 2018, and it's still not understood. And trust me, I have been dealing with doctors and anatomists and autopsy people, and they don't understand this. Do not understand it at all. And I will explain it to you, and then hopefully we can make... It's the most simple thing to test what I'm talking about. In a week, we could tell if I'm telling you something is right or wrong. Within a week, not even. And here's how we can test it. Okay, my friends, this is going to be very interesting if you have been following the debate about RFK being the new health czar. Well, he's talking about infections and vaccines and so forth, and he's got some alternative ideas. Now, I also do as well. I don't say take this or don't do this or do that. However, at the earliest stages of an infant's youth, when they're just born, they have no immune system to speak of. Some of them have literally no defenses against certain types of common bacteria. And that's why they become sick, because they have no defenses against it. That is my theory. And it's a theory. I'm not saying do this, don't do that. Now, we're going to get deep into this, but I want you to see something over here. This is at the time of birth. All right. Let's just read through this very quickly. The baby gets maternal antibodies. And that's from the mother's immune system. But where are they coming from? The baby's in a sterile environment, and I don't think they have any real serious, bacteria or anything yet. They're pretty much sterile, supposedly, in the womb. As they come out of the womb, that's where they get their antibodies, in the vaginal canal, feces. All kind of bodily secretions are coming in at the moment of birth. I don't know what the body actually produces in addition to the normal vaginal juices. It may squirt all kinds of things in there. Who knows? They have C-sections. The baby never goes through that process. That's one thing we want to look at. But here's the key. It's so simple. It's unbelievable. All we have to do is take basically a fecal swab, that's the poop, and test it for what bacteria are in there, because that's your digestive system. Now, you do that before any medical intervention, and then have your shots or whatever you want, and then check it again. Did this bacteria get destroyed? You have to have that good bacteria. And if you don't have the good bacteria to start with, once you get injected with these live viruses, they're live. They're very, very weak. And that's why your immune system should recognize them, and then in the future, you won't have a problem with them. They're very, very weak. They're still alive. That's the problem. They're still alive. And if you have no defenses whatsoever, they will populate you, or they will change things. They may not create that exact problem, but if you don't have certain types of enzymes in you, your membranes will be invaded, and you can get all kinds of issues where they're just a plethora of different issues that can arise by not having the right bacteria, and because they don't create the right enzymes. Well, I'm going to get deep into this. I never skim over the surface of anything, so stick around. And I applaud RFK and Trump for looking into this. Not to look into it is insanity. This is what kills me. They say, well, we already made our determinations. It's all over. No, nothing is over. Nothing's over until it's over, and it's never over, so nothing's over. If you don't continue to research, then you are lost. You have made your decision, whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter. And that's what I found. And it relates to the people who don't want to be wrong. They want to be right because they said they were right, and they just can't turn around. That's what I found. It's very, very rare. I have to turn around every day because something that I thought I was right about, I realized, wow, I didn't realize that. Then you take that into account. It may affect it, it may not affect it. But right now, we don't know because we're not being allowed to look into this. And I can tell you that's for a fact because I've been warned not to talk about these things. I'm not telling you to do anything or not do anything. I'm telling you what the research shows. And it's not right to say that I can't talk about this stuff because I've done more research on this than anyone. I discovered the interstitium layer, which I'm going to show you is a layer that houses our immunities. Every single organ in your body is invadable. And that's why you have like over 100 cancers. Every one of those is a different chemistry in that membrane. I'm going to get very deep into this. But Kennedy, I really, 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 really want to talk to him. And then he can just walk away from me. I don't care. But as long as I get my words in, I'll be happy. All right, before we get into this, without understanding this, you'll never understand anything. Enzymes are the most important thing in your body. They react so fast, they're catalysts. And you have digestive enzymes, you have carbonic anhydrase, all these enzymes break things down. I'm going to show you the anatomical workings in a minute. But digestive enzymes, for instance, the enzyme amylase breaks down starches into sugars, can catalyze reactions at a rate of about 1,000 to 5,000 molecules per second. Similarly, lipase, it breaks down fats at about the same speed. Carbonic anhydrase is one of the fastest enzymes in the body. It catalyzes the conversion of carbon dioxide and water into carbonic acid, rate up to 1 million molecules a second. And the only place you get these enzymes from, or any enzyme in your body, is from bacteria. If you kill your bacteria, you are in trouble. And that's what glyphosate does. It kills bacteria. We are eating raw chunks of glyphosate, basically. They spray it right on the crops right when they're harvesting. Okay, my friends, this I find extremely interesting. They are admitting that this herbicide is linked to lasting brain damage, and this common herbicide is glyphosate, which is in Roundup. And glyphosate exposure intensifies Alzheimer's Alzheimer's disease-like pathology in mice, even after a prolonged period without exposure. That's like 6 months. Now, it says the human brain is an incredibly adaptable organ, often capable of healing itself even from significant trauma. However, new research reveals for the first time that even brief contact with a common herbicide can cause lasting damage to the brain, with effects that may persist long after direct exposure has ended. I am going to explain to you why my theory is about this exposure to glyphosate, which is a bactericide. It's a killer of plant life, which we have in us. It's called bacteria. And our bacteria creates enzymes. If we don't have the enzymes, we won't have the chemistry. Once you are, invaded with this stuff, if it kills enough of your bacteria and you don't recover, well, then you stay down. You are damaged for a long period of time. And everybody is exposed to this glyphosate now in large quantities. And I mean, when I'm going to talk with Chad and see what Chad has to say about how glyphosate is used in the food chain. Where do you hear this? It's very, very scary. And they're saying even brief exposure, even brief contact with a common herbicide can cause lasting damage to the brain. Now, I have some long duration research on this. It goes way back to when it started with Dr. Stephanie Seneff. I don't know if she'll remember me or not. I did talk with her a couple times, or I forget, we contacted each other. And because she's talking about that V word stuff. The vaccinations and stuff she was talking about also can have a problem. And I wanted to discuss that with her. I'm not making any decisions one way or the other talking about that. I have nothing to say about that right now. But she also was going after this glyphosate. And she's talking about from a chemical interaction, how the molecules react, the glyphosate actual molecule. Now, I see it in a different way. I see that the glyphosate is a bactericide and it kills the bacteria in our body. We're consuming that and it's going into our body. They say it won't hurt you because it only works on plant life. Well, it's killing our plant life. Here's what I want to see. Check our bacteria levels before exposure and after exposure and see what glyphosate does to the bacteria in our body. What levels are here and what types of bacteria and what are here afterwards. And every medical intervention, you should have a bacteria test before and after and see what that medical intervention did to your body, whether it's a vaccine or whether it's a shot or whatever it is. Blood work or transfusions or even like cancer research where they're giving all kinds of antibiotics or whatever they're giving you. You should test before and after. See what bacteria before and after. Because if you don't have the right bacteria, you're going to be sick. That is an absolute 100% certainty. And this is what this does, is it kills bacteria. Okay, anybody that's been following me knows that we're working on a project over in Northern Ireland to associate what is the bacteria in kids before they get their shots and all that business, and what's the bacteria afterwards. And is it killing some of the bacteria? Can some of the kids survive it and repopulate their bacteria? Yes, obviously, because they don't get damaged. Can some of the other kids not repopulate their bacteria? Yes, obviously, because they very quickly develop symptoms. And if the bacteria was correct, I believe the enzymes would be correct. This is just a theory. It's a theory. You have to start research with a theory. This is my theory. I'm not saying anything to do or don't do. Now, they're saying, this guy Velasquez, he says, our work contributes to the growing literature highlighting the brain's vulnerability to glyphosate. This Velasquez says, given the increasing incidence of cognitive decline in the aging population, particularly in rural communities where exposure to glyphosate is more common due to large-scale farming, there's an urgent need for more basic research on the effect of this herbicide. Let me tell you something about this herbicide or herbicide, however you pronounce it. Let's look into how long it lasts. How do they use it in farming? What's it used for? Why is glyphosate necessary? How does it work in plants? What does it do to the plant? And why does it not harm us and kill a plant? But it won't hurt us. Why is it toxic to a plant? What's its method of operation? The plants grow, we grow. Why does it kill that and not bother us? And when do they use it? Is it in the food supply? Is there glyphosate in the food supply? Is that a certainty? How long does it last? What kinds of products are in it? Do they use it for any other purpose other than killing weeds? Which I can tell you they do. They use it to dry out crops. What the hell is this supposed to mean? I asked, is she tenured? Because that's the only way you can speak, is if you're tenured, they can't really fire you. And they say yes. Dr. Seneff is a senior research advisor or senior scientist. She holds a position at MIT's Computer Science, Artificial Intelligence, but is not a tenured faculty member. Not. Well, how could she be, yes, a tenured faculty member and not a tenured? All right. And it says she's known for her research in areas related to health and technology, particularly for her controversial views on effects of this glyphosate, which is Roundup, with the active ingredient in Roundup herbicide. On human health, over the years, she has gained attention for her work linking various health conditions, including autism, Alzheimer's disease, and chronic diseases, to environmental factors and chemicals such as glyphosate. Yes and no. The glyphosate we're going to look into, and what does it do? The chemical, yes. But what did it actually do? What's the mechanism? Does the chemical come in and break something up? No, the chemical comes in, I say, and kills the bacteria that's in our body, that makes the chemistry that makes our body work. Without the enzymes, you're done. And the enzymes are only created by bacteria. Now, so the glyphosate is the killer of the bacteria, which is the source of the enzymes. So if we continue to keep pumping the bacteria back into our body, we might be able to eat all the glyphosate you want. As long as you got the bacteria, it just never goes away. Now, while she is a respected researcher, her theories are highly debated. She was slammed, and many of her conclusions have been met with criticism, harsh criticism, from other scientists, other deniantists, especially due to concerns about the scientific rigor of some of her claims. Now, I have to agree that she has drawn a conclusion based on chemistry of glyphosate, saying that there's something in that chemical compound that is causing this issue. I don't know whether she understands it's killing the bacteria. But that's its purpose in life. It's a bacteria, a plant killer. Now let's look into how glyphosate is used and who's eating it and how is it affecting your guts. And again, if we had a bacteria level here and then infuse the glyphosate, use rats, I don't care what you use. Take a bacteria sample, give them a bunch of glyphosate to eat, take another bacteria sample and see if the bacteria is the same. And I guarantee you it won't be. You ate something that's going to kill some bacteria. What will it kill? I don't know. It might kill everything. It might only kill 6 or 7 species. I have no idea. That's what research is about. And she's a good researcher. And she was very polite and very nice. And I agreed with her, but I really didn't have much of a connection with her. I could feel that she was, didn't want to really get too deep into it with me, but I agree. I agree with everything she's saying. But my take is it's killing the bacteria, not that the chemistry is killing off cells. And that's what I think that's I think where her take is, that the chemistry of glyphosate itself is so toxic that it kills off the neurons, something like that. Okay, Dr. Seneff claims that this glyphosate causes all kinds of problems with Alzheimer's, chronic diseases, environmental factors, chemicals such as glyphosate. And I agree with that 100%. She's a respected researcher. Her theories are highly debated. Many of her conclusions have been met with harsh criticism. Really, they say criticism, harsh criticism from other scientists, especially due to concerns about the scientific rigor of some of her claims. That's all, no proof, there's no proof. Well, if you look and you start paying attention to it, you do a little research, there's plenty of proof. Now, Dr. Seneff argues about the glyphosate, and it's the herbicide. That's the thing. It's killing our bacteria. Now, she claims that there's other things. This disruption of gut microbiome, absolutely, it's killing the bacteria in our gut. But then it's because the enzymes that are produced by the bacteria are no longer available to do the job. The enzymes are the catalysts. Without the catalysts, nothing works fast enough to make life work. Now, then she goes on for a bunch of other possibilities. She really doesn't know, and nobody does. However, I think my explanation is the best, that this particular Roundup is a chemical that kills what's called a chicane or Shikimate or something like that, a pathway in a plant that lets it feed itself. Let's think about it this way. It comes up with food, and it says, no, you can't get past here. Done. No absorption of that stuff in here anymore, and the plant dies. So that's just a normal plant. No. Then you have a genetically modified plant. And everybody says, GMO, what does that mean? Most people know, but I'll explain if you don't know. Genetically modified means the DNA sequence is there to say, I am a plant. I grow these kind of leaves. I eat these kind of foods. I have a pathway in me that brings these foods up. And normally that pathway would have a gene in it that would say, if this pathway is obstructed, you're going to die. Well, with this genetically modified plant, it does something to say, don't worry about if it gets obstructed. Just keep on flowing that stuff right past there. Don't worry about it. You'll live. Everybody else that's not genetically modified will die. So it's like, let's associate it this way. Let's say all human beings breathe oxygen. You don't breathe oxygen, you're going to die. Case closed with that. So if I gave drugs that said, this is going to stop the oxygen from coming into your body, well, you're going to die. What if I modified you to say, I don't breathe oxygen. I don't need oxygen. I only need nitrogen, I need hydrogen, whatever else is in the air. I don't care about the oxygen. You can forget the oxygen. And then I eat some of these oxygen drugs, and everybody else around me dies because they need oxygen. I don't need the oxygen. I just keep on living. But in me, I have that thing that says anybody eats me is going to eat the thing that kills oxygen or stops the oxygen from flowing. So the next guy down the line who has a steak out of my shoulder or something, he dies because he's eaten the thing that stops him from getting his oxygen. Do you understand what I'm getting at? I know that sounds very confusing, and it does to me too. But it's when they kill the plant, they think all you're doing is killing the plant. That won't kill the human being. Well, when we eat it, it kills the thing that's kept us alive. So it's killing us. It doesn't matter. It starts with the little bacteria. Once it kills that bacteria, that's just as good as killing us. Once you don't have the right bacteria in your body, in a real bad conditions in your body with bacteria, you're done. It's called a cytokine storm. Your whole body attacks everything else because it doesn't have the correct bacteria to fight back. That's what bacteria does. It's good and it's bad. Okay, my friends, this is disturbing, and it supports exactly what I've been saying right along. They're talking about a common herbicide linked to lasting brain damage. That herbicide they're talking about is glyphosate, and it is a killer of bacteria and plant life, which it interferes with a certain pathway in the plant life, and including bacteria and so forth. Now, what they do is they genetically modify corn and wheat and all these other things to say, don't worry about that stuff. You absorb it, it's okay, it won't hurt you. Normal plants, they die. So they can spray it right on everything, and only the weeds die and the good stuff grows. But it is absorbing this common herbicide, which is linked to long-lasting brain damage. Let's investigate this. This is very important. I've been reporting on this for 10 years. Okay, my friends, Roger once again. This is so important that I am not going to get carried away. I am just going to go for the nuts and bolts so that you can understand easily what I'm talking about. There's a common herbicide which is called Roundup. It contains an item inside that herbicide which is called glyphosate, which kills plants. It doesn't, they say it doesn't harm humans, and it doesn't have anything in it that actually harms the human. But what it does have in it is kills plants. Now the only reason they squirt it on everything is because the crop that they want to harvest is genetically modified, so that it doesn't care about the glyphosate. Every other living thing dies, any plant, because there's a pathway, and it cuts that pathway off. So plants can't, but we don't have that pathway, so they can't hurt us. Well, the thing is, we eat that byproduct because it's all over the plants. And we eat it, and they say, oh, it won't hurt you, don't worry about it. Well, what happens is it kills the plant life inside of us. And we have bacteria. The bacteria creates the enzymes. The enzymes are the things that make us live. We're killing our bacteria, which is the source of the products that create our immunity and create our food source. All the products we need to make to live are made by enzymes. All right, let's see what Chad has to say about this. Are enzymes in the human body made by bacteria? Yes. Yes. Many enzymes in the human body are influenced or produced by bacteria that reside in our gut. The human microbiome, which is a community of trillions of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microorganisms living in our bodies, plays a critical role in the various physiology. I've shown this a million times. If we don't have those enzymes, those are catalysts. They work millions of times faster than if you didn't have them. Life cannot exist without the enzymes. All right, here you are right here. There's digestive enzymes. They break down the food. Bacterial enzymes in the gut. They ferment. They create fiber, the lactase, and other enzymes. Synthetic enzymes, which you can buy them, supplements. Interaction with human immune system. Absolutely critical. It produces enzymes, confluence the immune system. That's the only thing that makes your immune system work. It's in that layer called the interstitium, the fluid-filled highway. Impact on enzyme function. Conclusion: while human cells produce many enzymes crucial for digestion, the cells don't produce it. The cells are the housing for the bacteria that are the producers of the enzymes. The bacteria, it's not the cells. So human cells, they say, produce many enzymes. They're just in certain factories have certain enzymes come out of them. That's all. Some of them are very acidic, and some of them are neutral, and some of them are caustic, and so they're housed in different membrane areas, and that's why they say that there's different cell types, which they are. All right, so while different types of human cells produce many different types of enzymes, crucial for digestion and other processes, crucial for everything. Not a single thing is done in your body. Zero. That doesn't require an enzyme. The bacteria in our body, especially those in the gut, significantly contribute to the production of enzymes that aid digestion, nutrition, absorption, overall health. These bacterial enzymes are essential for breaking down foods, producing compounds that the human body cannot produce on its own. They are absolutely essential, and you can kill off that bacteria within minutes, and it's gone. And then you lose that enzyme, and in a couple of days, you're sick. All right, let's try this. How fast do enzymes speed up reactions? No, I didn't pick it up right. Hold on. How fast do enzymes, never mind.
Enzymes are incredibly fast and efficient in catalyzing biochemical reactions. The speed at which enzymes work can vary depending on the enzyme, the substrate, and the conditions in the environment, like temperature and pH. Here's a general breakdown of enzyme speed and how it works. 1. Enzyme catalysis speed. Enzyme-substrate interaction. Enzymes work by binding to a specific substrate, the molecule they act upon, and converting it into a product. This process occurs in an area of the enzyme called the active site, which is highly specialized for the substrate. Catalytic rate. Enzymes can catalyze reactions at an incredibly fast rate. On average, most enzymes can convert hundreds to thousands of substrate molecules per second. For example, the enzyme carbonic anhydrase can catalyze the conversion of millions of carbon dioxide molecules per second. Other enzymes, like those involved in digestion, e.g., amylase or lipase, work slightly slower but are still quite efficient. 2. Factors influencing speed. Several factors influence the speed of enzyme catalysis. Concentration of substrate. The more substrate available, the faster the enzyme can catalyze reactions, up to a point where all active sites on the enzyme are occupied. This is known as saturation. Temperature. Enzymes generally work faster at warmer temperatures, to a limit. Too high a temperature, however, can destroy the enzyme's structure, reducing or stopping its activity. pH. Each enzyme has an optimal pH at which it works best. If the pH is too acidic or too basic, the enzyme's activity can decrease, or the enzyme itself might be damaged. Enzyme concentration. More enzyme molecules generally lead to faster reactions, as there are more active sites available for substrate molecules. Cofactors and coenzymes. Some enzymes require additional molecules, called cofactors or coenzymes, to function effectively. The presence or absence of these molecules can influence enzyme speed. 3. Specific examples. Digestive enzymes. For instance, the enzyme amylase, which breaks down starches into sugars, can catalyze reactions at a rate of around 1,000 to 5,000 substrate molecules per second. Similarly, lipase, which breaks down fats, operates at speeds in the same range. Carbonic anhydrase, one of the fastest enzymes in the body, it can catalyze the conversion of carbon dioxide and water into carbonic acid at rates of up to 1 million molecules per second. 4. Reaction time. Enzyme-catalyzed reactions can occur in fractions of a second. The actual time it takes for a reaction to happen varies but can be in the order of milliseconds to seconds depending on the enzyme and the reaction conditions. Enzymes significantly speed up reactions compared to what would occur without them. Without enzymes, most biological reactions would happen too slowly to sustain life. Summary. Enzymes are incredibly fast at catalyzing reactions, often converting thousands to millions of substrate molecules per second. Their efficiency and speed are influenced by factors like substrate concentration, temperature, pH, and the presence of coenzymes. This remarkable speed enables the body to carry out essential processes, such as digestion, metabolism, and cellular repair, at a pace necessary to maintain life.
That's it. Now, what are coenzymes? You see what they're talking about here? You have to have the presence of coenzymes. And the pH is important too. And you know, how much it affects the substrate is dependent upon all of these different types of things, how fast that enzyme will break down the thing that it's supposed to attack. Basically, they attack. Enzymes do two things. One of them is they break down, well, they do only one thing really. They break down products. And they just break them down. They just attack them and break them down in little bits and pieces. And then they get built back up again into usable things called proteins. Now, that's where there's a little gray area for me. But I know the enzymes break things down and the proteins build things. And I think they came out of the same ribosomes. I'm going to show you that right now. But this is critical to understand this. You just heard what this says. This is, these are the speed of the catalysts, and without them you don't live. You cannot live, you're going to die. And where do you get the catalyst from? You get them from bacteria. The bacteria in the gut, that's where the enzymes come from. You don't have them, you can't digest. You can't. Your brain will go bad because you can't insulate the wiring in your brain. Everything in you will go bad. It depends on what bacteria you damaged. Now, when they give live injections of things which are supposed to make you immune, you have to be able to fight back somewhat for your body to recognize it and then fight back against it. So you have to have some bit of immunity, even though it's a tiny bit. And if you did get infected real badly, you'd just die, basically. You'd just be completely overwhelmed. So you have to have that little tiny bit. And then when you get that very, very weakened dose of a live virus, it's live, it can live. But it's so weak that you should have something in you that has some bit of attack capability. It attacks it, and then it takes a little piece of it, and it goes up to your DNA and says, see this? If you ever see this again, kill it. Then you're immune. But if you don't have that little bit to kill the weakest little bit of that stuff, it's still alive, and after a little while it'll start growing. And it will damage that person that was supposed to be being protected by this because they had no immunity whatsoever. That's the key. Almost everybody has some immunity so they don't get sick. But you're going to have some that have none. So what is the key to figuring this out? I say it's the bacteria that create the enzyme, which just I showed you. Without it, it's not going to happen. You cannot fight that invader. So you take a bacteria test before they get whatever that inoculation type thing is, or whatever medical intervention whatsoever. And then you have a bacteria test afterwards. What happened to the bacteria? Does this particular intervention always create the missing lactobacillus whatever, or is there nothing here at all? I say the bacteria creating enzymes being killed is the issue. The glyphosate, you eat it, it's going to kill your bacteria. Simple as that. It's not a hard thing to understand. When you understand that the source of everything in your body that's any good is bacteria. There's some bad bacteria too, yes, but the good bacteria keeps it at bay. Okay, get ready. This is not going to be pleasant. Do they spray glyphosate on crops just before harvesting? Yes.
Yes, glyphosate is sometimes sprayed on crops just before harvest, a practice known as desiccation. This practice is most common for certain crops like wheat, soybeans, canola, and legumes, though it's used with other crops as well. What is desiccation? Desiccation refers to the use of chemicals, such as glyphosate, to dry out or speed up the maturation of crops before harvest. Glyphosate is a non-selective herbicide, meaning it kills most plants it comes in contact with. When used before harvest, it helps to dry out the crop quickly, making the harvesting process easier and more efficient. Why is glyphosate used just before harvest? There are a few reasons why glyphosate might be sprayed right before harvest. Even maturation, it helps to synchronize the maturation of the crop. This is particularly useful for crops like wheat or oats, where not all plants mature at the same time. By spraying glyphosate, farmers can promote even drying and ensure that the crop is harvested at the optimal time. Drying the crop. Glyphosate can accelerate the drying process, especially for crops like legumes, e.g., soybeans, where farmers want the plants to dry out quickly to avoid delays in harvesting due to weather conditions like rain. Weed control. In some cases, glyphosate is used to control weeds in the fields, especially if weeds are competing with the crop or if they have grown after the primary growing season. Concerns about glyphosate use before harvest. While glyphosate is commonly used in this way, its use right before harvest has raised concerns, particularly around glyphosate residue in food. Health concerns. There are concerns about the potential for glyphosate residues remaining on the crops when they are harvested. These residues can end up in food products, leading to concerns about possible long-term health risks, especially regarding its potential carcinogenicity. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, part of the World Health Organization, classified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic to humans in 2015, although other regulatory bodies like the EPA and EFSA have concluded that
all of a sudden it stopped talking. I didn't stop it. Wow, that was interesting. All of a sudden it got to that. Anyway, it says that it's probably carcinogenic to humans. But although other regulatory bodies like the EPA and the EFSA have concluded glyphosate is not likely to pose a cancer risk when used as directed. They spray it right on the crops before they harvest it, and they've found it still in the crops a year later. Regulatory limits. To address these concerns, regulatory agencies set maximum residue limits. Glyphosate on various crops. These limits vary by country, and crops are tested for glyphosate residue before they are allowed to enter the food supply. Public awareness. In recent years, there has been increased public awareness and scrutiny over the use of glyphosate in agriculture, leading to calls for more sustainable farming practices and alternatives to using these glyphosates and genetically modified foods. And especially, you don't want to use them close to harvest because we're eating that stuff. Conclusion: yes, glyphosate is sometimes sprayed on crops just before harvesting, aids in drying and weed control. However, to use in this context is controversial, yes, due to concerns over potential health risks from glyphosate residues in the food. As a result, regulatory bodies monitor, and oh boy, they're really setting all acceptable limits, no big deal here. Well, let me tell you something. This stuff is a bactericide. It's a fungicide. It's a killer of plant life, which has this certain pathway through it. We don't have that, but it kills the bacteria that's in us. All right, let's try this. Here we go. Is glyphosate a killer of plant life and bacteria? All right, didn't take it. Hold on, here we go. Is glyphosate a killer of bacteria as well as plant life? Yes. Glyphosate is known to have antimicrobial properties. It kills microbes. It can affect certain types of bacteria in addition to its primary function as a herbicide. So it kills bacteria also. All right, glyphosate's effect on bacteria. Well, the Shikimate, that's this pathway. Shikimate pathway is present in plants. It's also found in bacteria. It's us and other microorganisms, including fungi. It's killing our good digestive system. We have to have these microorganisms. They're beneficial to us. It's killing us inside. All right, most people have heard of bacteria. Well, there's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria, but they both create a product called a ribosome. And the ribosome just squirts out of these little tiny balls. This is a single cell, very, very tiny, and it lives in your digestive system, in the membranes that surround your digestive system, and absorbs the products, and it spits out these ribosomes to do chemistry. Now I'm going to show you what a ribosome does. I'm going to make this as simple as I possibly can. It's very simple. These things go through this whole fluid-filled highway. Let me show you that, because that was just now announced and they still don't understand it. That is the source of your immune system, and these create the drugs. That is the drug right there, the ribosome. All right, I showed you that bacteria. Basically, they live right in this zone here. They're all throughout your body, yes, but primarily they're right in this area, and they squirt these ribosomes, and they flow themselves through with their little flagellas through this fluid-filled tube. It's a tube. It's not just a flat layer. They always thought this was flat. They just meet your interstitium, a newfound organ. It's this right here. They always thought it was flat. It's not. It's filled with these little fluids and enzymes and bacteria and viruses and fungi and all that stuff. And they float around through your body and deliver stuff and deliver drugs. They're drug dealers. They go through your body and deliver the drugs where they're necessary. And that's what the ribosomes are, is drugs. All right, here's what's going on. You've got the trigger, you got the ribosome. I showed you those little balls. The trigger comes and it says, okay, you got to pop open here. However it does, I don't know. It clicks it and it pulls a piece off or something like that, and then it just starts ripping apart, and the sheath comes open. and you get a very, very, very elegant molecule. And it's a magnetic molecule, just basically like this, almost identical. Now, enzymes break up other molecules. They come along and they go click, 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 and when they hit them, they just explode them like an atomic electric bomb, because this is nothing more than an electric pulse. It's like an executioner. And it doesn't get used up itself, but it destroys all the things that it hits. Bam, 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 bam. Tens of thousands, millions of times a second. Very, very elegant. And there's no life without them. And as I will show you, this is fully understood. But they just don't understand that fluid-filled highway. Now, so these are floating around that fluid-filled highway. They get sent to wherever they're needed. Proteins are like the enzymes, only these are construction equipment. This is like bulldozers and breakers and smashers. And this is like the building boards and whatever you got. Concrete. That's the deal. This destroys, this makes. Simple as that. The key takeaway is that if you're missing either one of those, the enzyme or the proteins, you're still sick. Now here's what they look like when they open up into their fullness. They look basically like this. And every one of these is a magnetic signature, and they are so elegantly built. And if it's not exactly like that, every single one of them has to be exactly in that configuration. I mean, just think of it, how elegant that is. And if it's not just like that, it doesn't do the job. It just will not work. It's called denatured. It's broken. It will not do the job it's supposed to do. All of these little magnetic points, well, when I say all of them, I don't know if it's all of them, but there's going to be certain spots that they call dipole molecular moments that are centers of positive or negative charge. And they will have to line up like a series of codes. So it's not going to be every single one of them. So I don't want you to think that. But there's going to be enough of them in here that it clicks and clicks and clicks. And when it hits those, it just pops them open. And that's it. You're done. So that it destroys that chemistry. But these are so elegant that it's just amazing. You know, and that's just my theory of how they work. And I'm pretty sure that, well, I know it's how they work. How many of these clickers you need to be in the right place at the right time, I don't know. But and they can get really sophisticated, and they can get not so sophisticated. Enzymes go big or they go sort of small, and then they need to work with coenzymes. That's something that they haven't thought about. What is a coenzyme? Vitamins. Vitamins and minerals work with these as a coenzyme. And B12, I was looking at B12, and man, that sucker is half like this. It's huge, and it's just a vitamin. I always thought vitamins, little scrappy things, don't mean much. No, you need all of this stuff. You need it all working correctly. And I say the best place to start is to figure out what bacteria is in everybody's body in a profile, and then always take it before you have any medical intervention, and then take it afterwards. You know, if everything's going good up to this point, and then you get medically intervention, whatever it is, antibiotics or, you know, the V word or all that stuff, let's see if anything damaged you. And if you don't have the correct bacteria creating the correct enzymes to fight back a little bit against an invasion, you get long COVID, you get all kinds of neurological diseases. They never go away until you replace that bacteria. You don't get the bacteria in there, you're sick for the rest of your life. I'm telling you, you got to get that somehow back in there, whether you supplement it or you do a fecal matter transplant, which is a big thing, and I just can't understand why that's not allowed. It's illegal to do that. To get a fecal matter transplant is where you get. Well, hold on one second. Let me just show you how it does work. And it's just the most simple thing you can imagine. And it's extremely effective, they say. That's not my words. That's the words from the people that have done this research. No, I'm not saying do this or don't do that. This is just discussion about research, and this is what they've been, they've tested and so forth. This is fecal matter transplant. It's just poop. Beneficial bacteria isolated from stool sample. So they got to get the good bacteria out. Make sure you don't have any of this harmful stuff in there. And then they replace it, and this is all the good bacteria, and they repopulate your gut with this good bacteria. And right now they're using it from a stool donor, somebody that donates the poop. They're getting paid for it, I guess. So they're paying them to donate, and they're getting them from the kids that are like 18, 20 years old, and they're perfect health, and they've never had any of this or any of that, and because what you need is this bacteria. You don't have that bacteria, you're in trouble. And some people have had all kinds of. I had a real problem. I had to have surgery twice after taking antibiotics for root canal, and I had a actual fistula which ruptures right through your anal canal. It was nasty. 2 times I had to have that done until I found out what I was missing. Well, I'm better now, let me put it that way, and I think it was from repopulating my gut. And anyway, I'm not giving any advice to anybody to do this or do that. I'm just saying we need to look at this in a much more, serious way. Right now, it's illegal. You can't do that. You can't give somebody your own poop. It's against the law. It's not approved. It's, I can't even imagine that. I just can't imagine why. And it's very, very successful for C. difficile, Clostridium difficile specifically, but all these other things too. As long as you have the good bacteria, it will keep these guys at bay. You do need some of this bacteria in you. Everybody's got this stuff, but you have only certain amounts of it. After that, they take over. And they take over because the good guys got killed at one point. And these are very tough competitors. So if you don't have these to take care of, fighting back, and your other organisms in your gut that aren't killed from antibiotics and so forth, these guys will populate and boom, they'll overgrow and cause all problems. So then you will have to take antibiotics to kill everybody. Kills everybody, boom, boom. And then you have to repopulate with this. This is the key. They weren't repopulating. They figured your body would just automatically repopulate. And some people don't. Some people don't at all, forever. They stay with the long COVID for forever. They stay with all of these, pre-existing conditions, they call it. They're predisposed to be infected because they don't have anything to fight back with. Not a hard thing to understand. All right, check this out. Does everyone have C. difficile in their gut? Here we go. C. difficile bacterium can naturally reside in the gut of some people without causing harm, yes, because you have the good stuff to keep you at bay. However, it does not colonize the intestine of everyone. Here's what we know about C. difficile, its presence in the human gut. It says not everyone has C. difficile. Well, I don't know about that. The C. difficile in their intestines without any symptoms or problems. Let me put it this way. C. difficile has to be kept at bay. All right? They know some people have it, some people don't. They're saying some people don't even have it. I don't know if that's true or not. But it says that some people, the bacterium can naturally reside in the gut of some people without causing harm. No problem at all. However, it does not colonize the intestines of everyone. That's what they say. Here's what we know. All right? Some people have C. difficile in their intestines without any symptoms or problems. It is not present in every person's gut. Bacteria is found typically in the intestines or small percentage of healthy individuals, particularly those who may have been exposed to antibiotics. Do you see that? C. difficile, when you've been taking antibiotics, you're more predisposed to get C. difficile because it alters the microbial gut. Carriers, some people are asymptomatic. Now, here's the thing. C. difficile is an invasive thing. In nursing homes, a lot of people get it, and it spreads. So we know it's an invasive species. It's not something you have in you that's just a normal thing. It's something that either the people in the nursing homes are so medicated with antibiotics that they're just predisposed to the C. difficile, or it's just a really mobile thing that you touch it and you can get it. That's still up for grabs. Now, it's causing infection. And it says it becomes problematic when the balance of bacteria in the gut is disrupted. It's all about the balance of the gut. So let's just not bother going through all this stuff. But it's all about this gut microbiome, C. difficile, all the things. It says not everyone has C. difficile in their gut, but it's present in some individuals, especially those who have been exposed to antibiotics. All right, now let's continue forward. So we know some people have C. difficile, some don't. When you get C. difficile and it's uncontrolled, it's bad. All right, listen to this now. Can C. difficile kill you, and how fast can it act? Yes, it can kill you. Infection can be life-threatening in severe cases, though many people recover with appropriate treatments. Yes, but now they're giving fecal matter transplant is the appropriate treatment. The speed at which C. difficile can act become dangerous depends on various factors: severity of infections, the health of the individual, timeless of the treatment. Toxin production is life-threatening. Colitis, toxic megacolon, sepsis, all of the things that are bowel perforations. That's what I had. And it's in rare cases, inflammation caused. I had all these things. Reoccurrence, I had it twice. C. difficile infection can be reoccurrent, especially in patients who have been treated with multiple courses of antibiotics. That was from my root canal. All right, how fast can it act? It's fast. In severe cases can cause significant damage in a matter of hours to days. My father-in-law died overnight. He was healthy, well, he looked healthy, and the next morning he was dead. And it was a severe sepsis. C. difficile can be fatal if it leads to severe complications, and most people, they get it again and again and again, just like I did. Now listen to this now. Now I claim that every disease basically in your body is an invasion through the membrane. The membrane is there with all of these enzymes and bacteria to protect you. If the bacteria and enzyme isn't there, you get perforated through the membranes. That's what cancer is. And in my case, it was perforation through my colon. Now listen to this. Hold on one second. Okay, let's take this logically. My conclusion is that virtually every disease is an invasion through the membrane. And every membrane has its own chemistry. That's why you have like over 100 types of cancers, because you have all of these different bacteria and they can be killed, and when they are killed, certain types of bacteria are necessary to support a certain function in, let's say, your lungs, and other types of bacteria for your prostate, and others for your heart and your liver and your kidneys, and all of those different membranes. Once you don't have that protection around those membranes, you can be invaded. That's when you get cancers and all of these other life-threatening diseases. So what is the conclusion on this whole thing? Let's just wrap it up here, one shot. All right, I'm sure I said this a number of times. You have to find out what bacteria you have. They are recommending for for this C. difficile, which is continuously reoccurring. I'm going to ask it what the recommendation is for C. difficile right now, because it's the only one that will allow you to have a fecal matter transplant for. What is the recommended treatment now for C. difficile? See, listen to this now. Oops. All right, the treatment for C. difficile has evolved over time with guidelines focused on severity of infection, history, and so forth. Listen, they force you to take the drugs first, and then as a last resort, you can have the fecal matter transplant. Recommendation treatments on whether if mild, moderate, severe, reoccurrent, because they keep giving you the drugs. Initial treatment is first line treatment, oral viomycin, fixamycin, and all kinds of drugs, and then twice a day and 10 times for 10 days and so forth. Then severe difficile, first time is all this first line treatments, all that stuff again. Reoccurrent difficile, you keep getting it over and over. First line treatment, all that second or further reoccurrent. Listen to this. By the time you're almost ready to die, they say, okay, give them a fecal matter transplant. This is recommended for persons with multiple reoccurrent episodes. Why not give it to them first? That have not responded to antibiotic therapy. Why not give them the poop? Fecal matter transplant involves transferring healthy gut microbiota from a donor into the patient's colon, which has been shown to be highly effective in preventing further reoccurrence. Why do they have to force them to take all these drugs first? It's considered especially for patients who have had at least 2 reoccurrences. This is what, that's because it's too cheap. It's even cheaper than dirt. And then they go other considerations. Conclusion: C. difficile treatment is based on severity. But now it's the FM tree for recurrent fecal matter transplant and monoclonal antibiotic therapy. You don't need that. You need a fecal matter transplant. Well, do anything you want. I don't give anything, but fecal matter transplant has all the enzymes you need. And if you get it, the fecal matter transplant, they get pretty well fixed up. Well, let's just ask it what it says. Is a fecal matter transplant highly effective for C. difficile? Yes. Highly effective. And let's ask him another one. Is there major concerns with health after a fecal matter transplant? Is there complications? Look at this. Okay, FMT with the CDI, this Clostridium, is 85 to 90% for ones that have reoccurrence. So it's the treatment of choice, but they should give it to them before they force them to take all the antibiotics. Now, they're using it now for all kinds of other diseases. Fecal matter transplant should have been the first line of defense long ago. What else are they using it for? Well, I don't know. Has fecal matter transplant been used for autism, and what would the result be? this is about fecal matter transplant. It's generally considered safe and highly effective. Safe and highly effective. Now, I asked, has it been used for autism? Has been explored as a potential treatment for various conditions, including autism, based on the growing evidence that the gut microbiome may play a role in influencing brain function and behavior. It is the... However, it is important to note that FMT for autism is still a research area. This is insane. Has not been proven to be standard or approved treatment. Below is a summary of the current understanding regarding the use of FMT for autism. Now, they're talking about the rationale for and this and that. Studies on FMT for autism. All right. In 2017, they had a well-known study conducted by Research Autism University of Vienna. In this pilot study, 18 children with autism gastrointestinal symptoms received FMT. The treatment was administered oral capsules, so they just took pills over a period of 8 weeks. Study found improvements in gastrointestinal symptoms. Diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain were better. After the procedure, all those things were better after the procedure. Behavioral improvements were also noted in some children, with reductions in autism-related symptoms such as irritability, social withdrawal, repetitive behaviors. After the FMT, the children's gut microbiome became more similar to that of healthy children, with an increase in beneficial bacteria like, this is very important, Bifidobacterium and Firmicutes, which are known to support gut health. Other research, several smaller studies, and anecdotal reports have shown FMT may improve gastrointestinal. It repopulates all of this stuff. And they're talking safety concerns. Well, primary concern for FMT is safety of the procedure. It's proven safe. Ethical concerns. You want the kids to get healthy or not? Autism is a neurodevelopment disorder, and the idea that altering the gut microbiome result in a significant change in behavior still speculative, requires further research. It's not being researched adequately. All right, the conclusion is FMT a promising treatment for autism? While there is some preliminary evidence that FMT might lead to improvements in gastrointestinal symptoms and certain behavioral aspects in children, it's still too early to conclude. We need to focus in on this instantaneously. More rigorous, large-scale clinical studies. They see this for years and years and years and years. We need more. They need to just do a good study and get it done, and then create the database of the bacteria in the body. Then all of this stuff goes away. I'm serious. I think we can really make a dent in the healthcare system almost overnight. We need to know what your bacteria level is now, what the average is for human health, where people are always healthy, they don't have these conditions, and yours is way up here and everybody else is down here, and you got the condition and they don't have it. That's what we're going to end up finding out. And everybody that's got a certain condition is going to have some kind of dysfunction in their bacterial quantities. Now, I've been working with people trying to set up a project, and it's getting set up. It's over in North Ireland. And we're trying to think of a way of actually having the patients, or anybody that wants their fecal matter tested, to be able to literally do a swab at home. And it's got to have some way of preparing it in a solution or something. And then literally take a picture of it with a type of filter or some app that picks up all the different colors and the number, and then run that picture through AI, and it will pick up all the different frequencies of colors. And it will say we have 8% of this yellow and 2% of this orange and 1% of this blue, and all these different colors and the shades and frequencies. And every one of those, literally every one of those, is going to relate to some bacteria or some type of biology or some type of matter. Now, if you see everybody that has Parkinson's disease has a lot of this yellow. Let's look at the yellow. Let's figure what's in that yellow. Why so much? And can we replace that yellow or take that yellow out of there somehow? Or maybe they don't have the yellow and they need the yellow. Can we get the yellow from someplace else and put it in there? Because for us right now, they're just going to be colors. They'll be frequencies. They'll be colors. They won't be bacteria. We don't know the names of them. Who cares about the names? They got so many big names, it doesn't matter. We need the different frequencies. So if it's a 457, well, it's a 457. If it's an 892, it's an 892. The type of frequency is that it's literally going to be the bacteria. And there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And they're all going to be different, and every one of them will create a different type of ribosome or a different type of protein. And if you don't have those, you're going to be sick. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter. You could tell me all day long and turn blue in the face. This is what is your bacteria in that fluid-filled highway is literally your immune system, your drug delivery system, and all kinds of enzymes have to be transferred, and you have to have attack things out there. You have to have things out there to run around and break down food as it's coming through your body. It's a fluid-filled highway, and it moves quick. When you take a drug and you put it under your tongue, and within a couple of minutes, it's already in your bloodstream. This is, and that's through the fluid-filled highway, really. It's not really in the blood. You don't transfer that into the blood. That transfers into your fluid-filled highway. Then it filters into the blood. Anyway, this is, and this is, again, they just discovered this. They didn't have any idea about the interstitium until 2018, and they still really don't. And I've been studying this for a long time. 2015, I wrote the paper that is exactly what they say about a fluid-filled highway, giant system does the entire body. And I even pointed out how it interacts with the acupuncture points in ancient medicine, and how it's the strings and springs of your body. It holds you together. It literally glues you together. Lets you stretch and come back. All the different collagens, keragens. I went through this. I didn't study, but I discussed this with everybody in the world that was looking at the fascia at that, and that's 15 years ago. So this was before anybody else was looking at it. When I first started, they said fascia was fuzz. It was just something packing material. They could take it out, throw it away. It didn't mean anything. No, it's the biggest thing in medicine right now is the interstitial highway. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But I think we can put an enormous dent in the problem with kids with autism and virtually every disease. Parkinson's, all that. Even they just had another article came out yesterday, the day before, about the brain is loaded with bacteria and viruses and enzymes. It's supposed to be there. They thought it was sterile. They never looked. And they looked in there just by accident because they couldn't find anything else wrong with this person. And they looked at something in the brain and they saw these bacteria and viruses. Holy smokes. We thought they couldn't get up there because of the blood-brain barrier, so nobody's ever looked. I'm not kidding you. It's just insane what they have missed in medicine. Nobody knew about the fluid-filled highway until I brought it up. And I don't think they would know about it today if I hadn't brought it up. Because the paper that was written by New York University, basically the same paper I wrote. New York University, something like that. New York. It's in New York. And so it's crazy. It's a crazy time. And there's no reason we shouldn't be able to have people healthy. And this really, fecal matter transplant, you're going to get your bacteria back. And it's dirt, cheap or even cheaper. And that's, I think, the problem. The healthcare is absolutely terrible in this country. It's terrible. And I think it's one of the worst in the world. And we spend more money per person than anywhere in the world. And they refuse to examine what can work. That's the key. It's an intransigence of nobody wants to get sued. And a lot of it has to do with that. Somebody says the wrong thing, it does the wrong thing, somebody gets sick, you get a pandemic, or whoever knows what, you're going to get sued. So this is something that has to be addressed as a research thing, and say there's no suing these people. They're doing research. Somehow we got to get this looked at where people aren't afraid to do something. Right now it's just that they're scared to death. You make one little mistake, you're done. And they don't want, I got a feeling they don't want to fix the healthcare system because it takes the money out of it. I know that's a terrible, terrible thing to feel, but I can't see any other reason. I haven't seen anybody have any interest in really looking after these kids with autism. I haven't seen it. We have some people, but they're on the outside. They call them pseudoscientists. We don't want to bother with these people because they don't know what they're doing. Well, these are people who live with autistic kids and have improved their life and know what to do and are not taken serious. That's not good. Anyway, I love you all. Hoping we can get this changed. Maybe Trump can step up and do something. I don't know. It's a very frustrating 15 years of understanding things that are so certain and then having everybody just dismiss them because they just are too much for them to handle. Very frustrating. But I still love you all. Bye.